Welcome back to a closer look. With the aim to provide safe, sustainable and resilient communities in Papua New Guinea, the National Disaster Center recently launched its corporate plan for 2023 to 2027. The plan will provide the policy direction for the National Disaster Center and its stakeholders, along with other disaster risk management players, to manage disasters more effectively in the country.
The National Disaster Center, or NDC, is the government agency responsible for carrying out the day-to-day responsibilities of the National Disaster Committee in accordance to the Disaster Management Act of 1984 under the Ministry of Defense. Its functions, among others, include supervising the national state of preparedness for disasters and emergencies and to report on it to the National Executive Council, coordinating humanitarian disaster relief and recovery operations in PNG, assigning responsibilities for disaster-related activities to the departments and other bodies, and examining and approve, when necessary, grants from national funds for emergency relief. With consideration to Papua New Guinea's geographical location on the Pacific Rim of Fire, the country risks being vulnerable to various natural and even human-induced hazards that would prove rather costly. Hence the significance of upkeeping the National Disaster Center. This was expressed by PNG's Secretary for Defense and Chairman for the National Disaster Committee, Hari John Akipe, during the launch of the National Disaster Center Corporate Plan for 2023 to 2027 on Friday, the 10th of August of this year. Building on this notion, the Acting Director for the National Disaster Center, Luzete Lasomana, elaborates on the significance of the launched corporate plan for the center.
The corporate plan 2023 to 2027 incorporates the National Disaster Center's vision, its mission statement and intrinsic values, and will guide the National Disaster Center to achieve the government's expectation to drive in rural communities and to improve the quality of lives by empowering safe, sustainable and resilient communities in Papua New Guinea.
The corporate plan was formulated in relation to proceeding policies like the recently launched Fourth Medium-Term Development Plan.
The plan was developed by the staff of the National Disaster Center through some rigorous process involving the review of policy documents, including the National Disaster Risk Reduction Framework, EMTV 3 and 4, Vision 2050, and the Constitution.
The acting director expressed that the National Disaster Center aims to strengthen disaster risk management capacities in the country over the next 5 years, in hopes to empower communities by internalizing the tools and methods of disaster risk reduction so communities can be safe and resilient rather than create dependencies. A notion that will come in handy given the disaster relief response in the country to natural disasters like the recent volcanic activity in Mount Bagana in Bougainville and Chambri Lake in the East Sepik province, with floods in the Central Province region as well as tribal fights in the Highlands region that had left families displaced and living in fear, with most reaching out for assistance still this year. Adding to this, PNG's Secretary for Defense and Chairman of the National Disaster Committee, Hari John Akipe, expressed the challenges that prove obstacles to the agency effectively carrying out its mandate.
Over the past years, the National Disaster Center faced many challenges which affected the effective management of the disaster in the country. Some of the challenges are common, which are manpower capacity, effective coordination, effective communication resource and logistics, and proper DRM tools. I understand this corporate plan 2023 to 2027 has been developed with reference to a capacity diagnostic review of the National Disaster Center.
The expected corporate outcomes for the next 5 years set in motion with the recent launch of the National Disaster Center's corporate plan include improving corporate governance, developing an effective disaster management system to identify disaster risks, improving infrastructure for effective communication, increasing public awareness and education, and providing to the National Executive Council through the Minister, which is the Minister of Defense and Minister responsible for disaster risk management, Win Bakri Daki, on all matters concerning disaster in Papua New Guinea.
I am so confident that this plan will provide a strategic roadmap for the National Disaster Center, its DRM development partners and stakeholders to achieve the government's goal and objectives on disaster risk management in the country. Thank you all and God bless you all.
The National Disaster Center pledged to effectively monitor and evaluate the corporate plan for 2023 to 2027, ensuring biannual reviews by senior management with quarterly and annual performance reports.
We take a break here, and when we return, we look at the IBS University Tech Fest event. Do stay with us.